SABR.org.
Sorry, John.
That's all right. So this is the presentation for SABR and community research resources I put together for the call. And I was just saying that the first part, I have a slide for each of these from the SABR research collection. And the way that you access these is from SABR.org. And then there's a place where you can click on a research collection. And I've had some some experiences where doing live, like look at the website, didn't go so well because of this and that. So I do have everything just on a slide in the slide deck. But if you wanted to try and click along, SABR.org and then click on the research collection, and you'll see most of these things right there. It starts with the Rucker archive, and this is I'm not going to go in too much depth on any of this, and it's not so much about what I found and what I'm sharing, but the places that you can go if you're interested in learning more about certain players or teams or topics. And I've recently been with conversations we've had doing the all-time greatest Colorado-born players. I've started doing research into some of the players I was assigned, and we talked about Smokey Joe Wood, and I'm curious to learn more about him and his history in Colorado, and it just started this whole pretty fun ride into where can I find more information about one thing leads to another. The next thing I'm looking at things I had no idea even existed. So I'll get started. This first one is the SABR Rucker archive. And, I haven't been a SABR member for that long. And I know that a lot of you have, and a lot of the people who put stuff together, like I think it's Mark Rucker who donated, his images. You guys, a lot of you might know who that is and might know him in person. I understand he's from Colorado Springs. And he made this donation of his collection of images. And I was part of I volunteered to do cataloging of some of these images when they first kicked that off. And, there's some bullet points. I won't necessarily read the bullet points, but to just share a little
Hey,
bit about
hey,
why I
John.
chose.
John, I
Yeah.
don't want to interrupt, but what are you sharing? 'Cause I'm seeing your Gmail inbox right now. Is that what you're sharing?
Oh, no. That's, I've got a slide deck up. Okay. Let me stop sharing. And then, cleaning up a little bit here. Thanks for letting me know that, Joe, because I thought I was on a roll.
I wonder what you're doing.
Because I shared. Okay, back to the Zoom call. There it is. It's kind of hidden in the back. So let me start sharing again. And I'll do it where I can kind of.
There we go.
Okay, sorry about that. I thought that I shared that, and then when I moved over to the let's see, when I moved over to the other tab, that it would have showed this screen, but it didn't. But what I'm doing now is, can you still see the slide?
No, it's a Zoom screen now.
Okay. more time. This is even with a little practice. This should work.
There you go.
But then this bar's in the way for me to be able to show it. Here we go, slideshow. All righty. So all that stuff that I said before. This is my you can see SABR and community research resources. And then this is what I was talking about with the different areas where you can access these from the SABR.org by clicking the research collection. And then this image right here, this is what I was talking about Mark Rucker donating 80,000, almost 80,000 unique images from his collection. And some of them are images of slides and magazine articles and photographs and different things. And I volunteered to work on Willie Mays when the request came out for people to catalog images. And you can search Willie Mays on SABR.org in the cataloged images and find all the, I forget, there's dozens of them. And this image that's on the SABR Rucker Archive baseball card that came out in at SABR 51 last year, it's one of the images that I helped catalog for the Rucker Archive. So when I saw that, it was kind of exciting. It's like, hey, I know that image. That's a picture of him on the Minneapolis Millers, I'm pretty sure, off the top of my head. And so if you go in there, you can find out, you'd search Minneapolis Millers, you can search Willie Mays and different tags that you put in the catalog brings different images up. So that's one of the options to do some research. Again, I don't want to go too much in depth on any of these. Let's see. Oops. The next one is this the SABR Digital Library, and these are the more or less the books. They're publications, but a lot of these that you see here, they're books. I looked up this one specifically. It's the Jeff Bagwell in Connecticut. It's a 250-page book. It's available print. They can do print on demand for any of these books and any of the older publications. So you can buy it at 50% off, or you can get downloads, PDF. I think they're all free. So you can research if you're interested in a topic. Texas Rangers 1972. You'd probably come up with that, and that's available to members. And one thing I was not positive on, but I don't think you need to log into the site to get access to a lot of this information. I don't think you need to log in to search and to access some of the information, but some of it you do. The next slide is, the archives from the Baseball Research Journal. This is the publication. It's since 1972. They've been publishing this. It's a little bit more, I think, research based, and it says, historical and biographical. You see, I included the image down where you can get on the SABR.org and click PDF files and download them right there. You can click the one below it and buy one. But this one is kind of research publications. I think it's a lot more analytical in a sense. The next slide is the national pastime articles, which, they've been doing this, or I guess we've been doing this since 1982. More literary outlet. And lately, it's been kind of focused on the convention. The one that came out this year had a lot of articles from people writing about things in the state of Minnesota. And that's something that, again, I think you can get that. You can sign up to get it in print, which I do. I think I pay a few bucks a year, or you can download a PDF. So these are just general things. This one, I love these SABR Baseball Game Project. If you're not familiar with this, you can find information, write-ups that people have done for specific games. There's new ones coming out all the time. Just today, there was the Friday email went out, and there was a handful of new games. You can volunteer to write these. You can get involved. by editing and lots of different just accounts of games that they some of them happened in the 1800s, and people obviously weren't there, but you do the research, you cover the game, you write something up, and then people have it accessible through the saber.org website. The one thing that I thought was cool, this was a bullet point I saw when I went to the convention games. They've got write-ups of all the games that people attend during the convention. And in 2006 in Seattle, the SABR convention, the goers attendees witnessed a 2-0 Rockies victory, and it was only took an hour and 52 minutes. And I did, despite what you saw earlier, I did try and do a little test run of this so that I didn't have any hiccups when I was presenting and sharing my screen. But Dave Mundo helped me with that, and he was at that game, and he actually commented on that, one other time when we were just talking. But it was in Seattle, and it was like in June, July maybe, and he said they went in because I think it was in the dome still, or maybe it was outside, but they came out. It was like a 2-hour game, and it was still, total bright daylight, and the night game had already ended, and that's what he remembered about it. So lots of information about that, lots of games out there. That's something that I think at some point it might be fun. I might try and do some writing on some games that maybe I attended or want to research. I haven't done anything like that yet, but maybe one day. Similar baseball biography project, in the same light, people do research and make write-ups. I found this one just for the screen sharing, that is Rob Dibble, so lots of different players out there. Again, we click on saber.org and then click the research collection and baseball biography project, and you can search, these were the most recent ones as the other day. Click on any of those, you can search and find articles written by SABR members. This one, David Bilmus apparently wrote on Rob Dibble. So different links to, on the right, where links to different things that probably have more information on Rob Dibble and some of the stuff that's included in the biography. And this is probably my favorite thing I discovered. And I'd heard about the oral history collections, and I know that they're still producing. There was one just recently, I think, on Ken Singleton, and there was one recently, maybe it was Mike Hargrove. But there's a lot that are in the archive or in the collection over the years. This one, I thought, I just went to see who are some of the old timers that that are out there. And I knew a little bit about Joe Sewell, but I didn't know much. And so while I was doing putting this presentation together, I listened. It's in 4 different parts, and they're all about a half hour. So it's about 2 hours worth of an interview. And it was Walter Langford who did the interview. And Joe Sewell, I just enjoyed the heck out of this. He's from Alabama, and he talked about growing up, and every crossroads had a team. His dad was a country doctor, and it was just a great story. From the start, he was, I think, 83 when the interview took place, but he came up and he's basically the replacement for Ray Chapman, who was killed on the field. This is the shortstop for the Cleveland Indians and the Yankees. And when he got the call up, it was because Chapman had died on the field, and he was kind of scared about even going up there after hearing about that. And he talks about that. Lots of different players have part of the oral history collection. If you like hearing about the old time, he talked about Babe Ruth. He talked about the calling the shot. He was the shortstop. I think he might have been hitting just after him. But anyways, I like that a lot, and wanted to share it. And that's one where I didn't realize until I started this presentation how much there is that SABR offers in this, and I'll definitely be digging into it a little bit more. There's another tab for research resources. It's kind of busy, but I wanted to make sure I captured that as a SABR member, you get access to online newspaper archives at these 3 different locations. I just also captured this list of of additional resources. It's not comprehensive, and I don't want to dig into too much of it. But one thing that I found I thought was really interesting was there was one that said near major leaguers, and I said, "Oh, that's very interesting. What is that?" And I clicked on it, and this Bill Hickman, who I don't know, maybe someone on the call does. This is his research into people who like nearly made it to the majors, and this one specifically is I found on the list Herb Shankman. He was on the major league roster during the season, physically able to play, and he joined the major league team during the season. But as we know, anyone who knew Herb's story, that he never got into a game. So it's kind of cool to find. And like right below him is Bill Sharman, who's a Hall of Fame NBA player who was a ball player, I guess, and had a similar story. So, that was neat. I didn't expect that, but, put a smile on my face when I found that. This is the last slide, I think, for SABR. This is, again, too busy to look at, but these are all this is a screenshot I took from the website, additional research resources publicly available. So stuff like, Ancestry.com, Baseball Reference, Baseball Savant, the newspapers.com, things like that, Retro Sheet. So there's a whole bunch. I mean, it really is, endless in my view. So, lots of stuff on the SABR.org website. This is what I put together. It's the second part of the presentation, the community research resources. And I've been to the top 4, and I've been to the National Baseball Hall of Fame, but I didn't go to it thinking I'd do research. I went to it with 2 9-year-olds, and we kind of sprinted through the museum so I could keep up with them. And so I definitely need to go back, but I'll just share a little bit about each of these, and then, I guess we can open it to questions after I'm done and discussions and kind of go from there. But the first one is the Denver Public Library. I haven't actually been into the library since I started doing all this research, but I did go online and found some really cool stuff. The special collections and archives and digital collections are available. You go to the Denver Library, you can Google that or go to this website, and then history. And there may be a research button you click, but a couple of the things that I found that I thought I'd share. This one on the left, it's a map, and it's called the Time Traveler's Map. And you can see down here where there's a drop down for the 1890 Sanborn. Sanborn maps were produced by a fire insurance company, I think as early as 1870s, and they're magnificent and really detailed. And it's amazing that they put these things together back then. CU has a library that I've been to, and they have actually copies of. It's like a map library. I forget exactly what it's called, but they have these. They're these big books, and you can check them out and look at them. I mean, you can't take them out of the library, but they're fantastic. What this website does, it takes a Google map and it kind of overlays the Sanborn map, and you can click on it and move it around the city. So this was if I moved it, like this, you'd see the rest of what Google Maps had to say about this area at Broadway and Spear. And if you move it the other way, you're going to see more of the Sanborn map. And what this is right now, I don't know if you can tell, but that's the ballpark that's on the map. So I think this is the Broadway grounds. Where was it located? I mean, it was specifically right here, and those are kind of the dimensions. And you can go back to the 1870s. There's probably a dozen different maps they overlay. You can get more recent. I've got, Bears Stadium and a few of the others I think the next slide, I've got a list of the stadiums that were in town. This other one was just a picture. I found this very recently, and I thought I'd just include that. This is cool because it was from the Denver Public Library. I searched baseball. I think I searched baseball with a space ball, because early on that's how they wrote it. So if you're doing search, that's a tip. But this one, Dixie Parker, I think it was 1922. He was on the Denver Bears, and it was a publicity stunt where they went up to the Daniels and Fisher Tower, thank you, and dropped the ball 335 feet, and took a couple of attempts, but he caught one. And there's a really good article with this that talks about it. But I thought that was a great image, and that's just something I found kind of poking around the Denver Library site. Um, Now the next one is the History Colorado Center, and this is the thing that really got me like excited about doing research and wanting to share. And I've been spending time on this, like 3 of the last 4 Saturdays I've been down there. It's the History Colorado Center on Broadway. You may have been there. It's pretty great, museum in general, but they have a research center called the Stephen H. Hart Research Center. It's on the second floor. And if you make an appointment, there's no charge, but you're not supposed to go see all the exhibits, but you're there for the purpose of research. You can access this, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 10 to 3. And they've got, archives, photos, all sorts of stuff. They've got an online catalog where you can search. And I was able to, when I first started, I think I said, can you, I'm interested in anything to do with baseball around the turn of the century. And if there's anything with Smokey Joe Wood that you have. And I showed up, excuse me, I showed up and they had like a cart with all these boxes on it. And they had all sorts, like this image on the left is 1912, 1913. Someone made a scrapbook of the Rocky Mountain News articles. It was just meticulously done. Most of the stuff is available through online searches now, but he had an index where you'd have mining or baseball or government or whatever, and it was like really well done, and a lot of like clipped out articles glued. Just it's in this. It was all wrapped up and tied up, and I don't know if anyone had touched it in like 20, 30 years. But they got it out for me, and I got to look through it. I took a bunch of pictures. I learned some cool things. It was a Denver Grizzlies, Denver Bears championship season, so there are articles about parades, and it was just a lot to learn from just getting down there and jumping in and seeing what you can find. These are a couple of the tags that were like with the material. This one on the right, I didn't know this, but this book was there, and it's called Above the Fruited Plain. I think some of you on the call are probably familiar with it, maybe even contributed to it. It was the 2003 I think it was 2003 when I don't know for sure if it was related to the convention. Whoops, go back up to the convention being here, but it's a SABR, basically the Rocky Mountain SABR chapter, I think, produced this in 2003 with great articles, and they had a copy of it. So like I didn't know that even existed, and I don't have a copy. I'm going to look for one, but that was in the box. And then this one in the middle, I thought I'd share because, I started getting interested in the earliest, baseball in the area. And I know Matthew Replinger wrote, his book that had like the pictures and the stories of some of early baseball in Denver. And, a few different places I found the reference to a 1862 Rocky Mountain News article, very small, and it said anyone interested in joining the baseball team, we're gonna make be down at Whipple's Cabinet Shop, tomorrow, May 12th or whatever the date was, and so I thought, wow, that's interesting. And then you can find accounts of the game and just references to it, but I couldn't find anything on like Whipple. I go, that made me think like, who's Whipple? Who owned Whipple's Cabinet Shop? And so I kept digging. I didn't have a first name, and after kind of digging around, I found out that most likely it's this Warren W. Whipple. This is an image that just last weekend they pulled for me, and it made a reference. Someone internally who cataloged this made a reference to him being the father of baseball in Colorado. And I don't know who that would have been a couple of years ago. I don't know if anyone volunteered, but they thought it'd be an internal employee doing that. So anyways, that's just like kind of the rabbit hole you can go down that, Whipple's Cabinet Shop is documented as the first place that an organized baseball team was formed in Colorado. And this is an image of him. And he was, owned a print shop and was printed the Rocky Mountain News. Had a pretty interesting life. So, anyways, the next one is some of you are familiar with the National Ballpark Museum. I've been down there a few times recently. I left Bruce a message today. Bruce Hellerstein, who runs it, owns it, and just let him know, hey, I got a slide. Just I don't know if he's on the call. I can't see who's joining anymore. But I love this place. I've been in there a lot recently, and it's things are changing. There's new like from one week to the other. There's been a few like, hey, this is a new thing that's been put up, and I kind of I don't know why, but I thought, oh, I think I've been there. I've probably seen it, but it's a lot of the stuff's there that's the same, but new things are on display. I love this. I think this is probably the the parade, the pennant raising day from. I think this was referenced in that scrapbook. I believe. I didn't ask Bruce, but I would bet this is from 1913, based on what I read in that scrapbook. And here's a map that I took a picture of on the wall there, and someone documented all the different places where baseball parks were in the Denver area, and it's really cool. It's just hanging on the wall. So I use that as kind of a point of reference with these other that other map tool that I showed you, and just this is just a display that I thought is cool. Like when we're talking about there's new bases in baseball, and how it affects stolen bases or player injuries and stuff. He had side by side two of them, and it was kind of surprising that the size difference. It's bigger than I thought, but I thought that was pretty cool. That's one of the many things on display down there. This is the I've got I think two more slides. This is I wanted to include this. I went to San Diego this April. It was I think April 3rd. The Padres. Who did they play? Was out there to see some friends. Had our rotisserie league baseball draft. Went to a ball game with my uncle and my cousin and my aunt, and while I was there, I'd heard about this. I'd heard about this before I was part of SABR, but there's the SABR Baseball Research Center. It's in the San Diego Central Library downtown. It's real close to the ballpark. You could probably walk it. I went to them on two separate days, but I think it's pretty easily walkable. And this is just a picture of part of it. Those are all baseball books. They've got the old SABR publications. They've got random books on baseball. They have it was interesting, the Weiss surveys. Just a few hours ago, the SABR National weekly Friday email came out. And there was something on there talking about cataloging the Weiss surveys, which I think it was from the 1940s to 2000, early 2000s. A gentleman sent minor league surveys out to all minor league baseball players, and this is an example of one of them, which happens to be my uncle, who I was at the game with. He played baseball at Loyola Marymount. Now is Loyola University. So I was able to find this. It was on microfilm. So I was going through like all the microfilm and searching for this, and was able to take an image of that. But it was his survey that he did. He played for the Tigers in Bristol, Virginia, in Single A. He got asked back to spring training the next year and went to Lakeland, Florida for spring training. And he was cut by Jim Leland. And he said, that's when I knew Jim Leland was going to make it as a big league manager. It was the day he cut me. So, it was really cool. Just some of the stuff that, you can find when you get out there and look. I just talked to him a couple of days ago, and, self-employed painting company. He was, I remember that as a kid. And the reason it's relevant here is, his partner was his college teammate. His name is Chuck Baker, and he played for 3 seasons in the big leagues. And they had a painting company that back then, big leaguers had to find something to do with with their off season to make money. and so they painted houses. And that's part of me as a kid growing up and how I was introduced to baseball. You know, he's a huge influence on me. Really, great guy and funny, and just thought that was cool. So I wanted to share it. That's what I found. A lot of, this was a donation of stuff from the SABR chapter to the SABR's Ted Williams chapter to the library, and they had partnership and they keep it ongoing, and it's really cool. And so that's, if you're looking for a summer trip next year, if you want to go to a ball game, San Diego's not so bad. You can check this out too. It's, worth an afternoon or something like that. And then the last place I put is the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, just because I think Joe, I was talking to you about it, is I didn't know much, but it's a museum, and there's a research center, and I didn't know for sure how it worked. So I just took this right from the website, except the last bullet point is the Google map. I Googled it from my house. It's a 24-hour drive, 1,754 miles. And I've done it before, but I did it kind of took a long way to get there. But if you're interested, you could go to the website. You can look up a research center, and you can make an appointment. There's a charge. You pay the museum entry fee, unless you're a member, then you get in for free. But you can contact them. They do recommend an appointment, 2 weeks in advance. But same thing. I think you could probably look on their online catalog and say, "Hey, I'm going to be in town, and I'm interested in seeing some stuff, and I'm researching." I don't know if you need to be researching for any specific reason, or you can just say I'm researching because I'm curious. That's more or less what it is with me. I mean, I've got some ideas, but it's just exciting. I've really, really enjoyed this whole process, especially the past few, month or so. And I thought it was worth sharing with everyone. And again, it might be stuff that people know about. Maybe it's a refresher. Maybe there's something new here. But that's. I'll go ahead and stop sharing and open this back up. And I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments or stories, but that's more or less what I had to share.
John, I think that's an outstanding presentation. Obviously, it took a lot of time to put that together. It was very informative. There's a ton of research that's available just in the SABR.org website that I was completely unaware of. Like, I didn't realize that we had access to even a third of those things. So I guess first up, I want to ask is the decks you put together that you presented, are there links in there that if we were to share this with our SABR members, are there links that they could actually click on and access?
I did not link anything. I just wanted to focus on, making it easy to present and easy to read.
I mean, that's fun, but still, I would love to share that with the chapter because I mean, like you use the word rabbit hole. I think if you start to dig into this stuff, you could spend the entire day on it and
Oh
not
yeah.
if you spent that many hours on it. But I mean, I think it's the deck you put together, links or no links, is a great resource. I'd like to share that with the rest of the chapter so people could actually, get involved and do some of the research on their own.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Thanks. I can make that. I'll send that to you or share it with you and PDF it or however we need to do it. But yeah, that's great. Thanks. It's been fun. It's been, you know, um, just stuff that, it comes naturally to, I think, most of us, if not all of us. It's just baseball, and everyone enjoys it for slightly different reasons, I think. But you, you know, something that's kind of drives us is this game, and watching it or getting to the ballpark could be, because you like the big leagues or minor leagues or college, or you just want to be around the game. But researching it is, it's just fun, and the time flies by when I do any of this stuff.
John, I just got a couple of quick notes. One, since this is SABR, I have a minor correction.
Oh yeah.
You said Ray Chapman died on the field, and that didn't sound right to me. So I looked it up. He got up, and his teammates helped him off the field, and he said, "I'm okay." And then he passed out. And
okay.
Then they took him to the hospital. He died the next morning at 4:40 a.m.
Yes, I think that's actually, thank you. And this is SABR, so I totally welcome that. And I'll tell you, there's a great, I think it's on Netflix, and it's called um, War on the Diamond, or War on the Base Paths. And it's a story of the Yankee Indian Guardian rivalry. And it starts, a lot of the focus is on Ray Chapman and
Carl Mays.
yes, thank you. And
Yeah, there's a great book by Mike Sewell called, that's actually probably my favorite baseball book, is called The Pitch That Killed. And that's, it details all that. And like you said, with Joe Sewell and everything, which I didn't realize, like, wow, his Hall of Fame career started when a guy died. That was wild. That was a great presentation, John.
Thank you.
And the other quick thing too is it's a little bit different kind of research, but I use the SABR landmarks map extensively on my trip this summer. I had a lot of problems on my iPad, on my phone with Maptiv, which is the platform, but the information is great. And, I go to Hall of Famers, or actually almost any baseball player, if it's on the way, grave, because I used to work in a cemetery. So, and I used to have to wander around the cemetery, and sometimes I'd find them and sometimes I wouldn't. They've got GPS coordinates on everything, and I could get out of and even the cemeteries have directions on the platform. So that's pretty amazing. It used to be the cemeteries was you're on your own, but I could walk right to graves, and I went to Eddie Goodell's grave.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's a little bit limited in that they can only apparently. I was going to write to John, and I never did, with a list of suggestions or complaints or whatever. Many of the sites have one image on it, but certainly in a cemetery, it really helps to have perspective. So you can take a picture of the headstone itself, but if you've got the surrounding area, you might see a tree or a mausoleum or something that gives you some point of reference. And I wandered around the block in downtown Milwaukee trying to find a plaque commemorating the establishment of the National League, and finally found it across the street, kind of in a fence. And, a perspective shot on that would have helped a lot. But it's so much better than, just kind of wandering around.
So. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's a work in progress. I think
Yes.
It's ongoing. Like, you probably could have snapped a picture and got it on there somehow. I don't know how that works, but I've looked at that too. This isn't comprehensive of what's on the.
Oh, yeah. It's just something
great. I was kind of wondering, like, what else would come up. That's just what I found on one tab, and thought, okay, I got so much time. But that's really cool too. And that's, like all those ballparks. Like I want to,
yes.
I'm like super intrigued to go drive by there and try and find stuff. And
because I love doing that.
Yeah.
I went to Chicago and Wisconsin, drove all over the place, and the SABR map was invaluable.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks.
I once drove past a vacant lot in Dallas, went out of my way to do it because there used to be a ballpark there.
Yeah, that's the things happen there that were important and that you could read about, and it's cool. So, but
one of the words that jumped out from the presentation or Joe's question was like was rabbit hole, and it sort of makes me think that our newsletter is already really great and has more than everything, but it makes me think of a concept of like the monthly rabbit hole or the weekly rabbit hole for like anyone who wants to just write about the thing that they're looking at. Like I just started on something where I was like, oh yeah, let me have a list of every single high schooler or every single Colorado native that was drafted out of high school or went to a high school or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, I don't know who Michael Willis is, but he starts the list in 1965. So I was like, oh, I might need to learn more about this person. So yeah. The weekly rabbit hole.
Yeah, I like it. That's what I put two things into the newsletter. The first one was kind of me just digging in again on the site, and when the Rockies were playing in Mexico, and I just like searched Mexico. I found all these articles, and it's like 3 days later, I got out of the chair and like thought I should get some food and water or something, because you just lose track of time. But yeah, what to do with it all? That's the thing. Is like I just enjoy it, and that's good enough for me. But there's lots of stuff that we could probably you know gain from knowing all this.
John, you touched on the bio project and the game recaps that Saber does, and I mean, I know they're always looking for people to contribute to that. I mean, they're only really, a relatively small percentage of Major League bios that actually have been written by Saber, and there's a lot more that need to be. I know, John Paul, you did one, a couple at least, right? That you did with Bill Nolan. You did some player bios, and I just finished one, my first one for Jay Gaynor. Remember Jay Gaynor? He's famous for hitting a home run on his first at bat on first pitch, actually, for in '93 for the Rockies as a replacement for Galarraga. And that's going to be just part of a book of all players who hit a home run in their first at bat. But anyone who's interested in actually contributing to that, and they're really looking for people to do it. I don't know what your experiences were like, John Paul. I know Bill Nolan can be a little tough to work with at times, but he's a smart guy and he keeps you focused. But you did a couple of them, right, John?
I did, and I'm working on one now that I've been working off and on for over a year. And it's like you go down the road and you take the branch to the right or the road to the left. And sometimes it's a little frustrated and interesting. But the one I'm working on right now is Roy Allen Hartzell. He was born in Golden. He died and was buried in Golden. And that cemetery map that you were talking about has his plot and headstone. But my problem is I don't know when to stop. So I've got a filing cabinet drawer full of articles from 1910 all the way up to 1961, and it's from various papers. So one of these days I'm going to have to say, hey, it's time to put some lead on paper or ink on paper. But it can be time consuming. I don't know. Was John, was that you that made that comment? Next thing you know, you spent 3 days on it.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not even trying to accomplish anything. I'm like
mission accomplished.
So I can imagine, but that's what kind of keeps me from like committing to do something like that, because I have a lot of admiration for people who can do that, and the research is one thing, but to put it together, that'd be a different challenge. So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There are actually at least 2 online maps. There's a SABR grave sites map, and then there's the SABR landmarks map. And to the best of my knowledge, all of the grave sites are on the landmarks map. So it's a little bit of duplication. I'm not sure why, because you can filter the landmark map by ballparks or grave sites or murals or statues and all of that kind of stuff, stadiums, ballparks. So I'm not sure why there are 2, but both have pretty good information.
One thing I found was you can run into a brick wall rather easy.
Literally or figuratively?
Both. The one thing I found on the last one I wrote was the player didn't want to talk. And the only way I was finally able to get in touch with him was through the Rockies. And he was still hesitant to talk to me. And I can understand it. They want to have some degree of privacy. So, but you just have to be persistent, and sometimes a different angle.
I don't get that, John. So Jay Gaynor didn't, at least 20 attempts I and Bill made to contact him, and we got in touch with him. He's a high school baseball coach from some city called Yakima, Washington, right? So you figured it's an honor, isn't it? People want to read about you. It's going to be published. You figured you'd be happy to participate, but he just refused to participate, which is, we could have got a lot more information. Like, he played another thing he did, which was kind of cool, I think. So the first ever game played in Coors Field were the replacement Rockies in '93. The strike was still in effect, and I'm sorry, '95, and the strike was still in effect. And there was a 2-game series between the Scab Rockies versus the Scab Yankees, and Gaynor had played in both games and batted cleanup, and it was a full house. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys attended those games or not, but it was the first ever games played in Coors Field. And I would have loved to heard his reaction to playing in front of a brand new ballpark in a house that big. I'm sure, even though it wasn't the real Rockies and real Yankees, I would have loved to heard what he felt, his reaction, how that experience. But he refused to talk to us for some reason, so it was a little frustrating. So
people are weird. He also might
would
have been concerned about, being a scab.
oh, I don't know.
But I imagine at some point, if you didn't use these exact words, like, well, we're writing this regardless whether you talk to us or not. So like,
Oh,
this is getting out there. Yeah,
No,
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
We
I
did
would
say
hope
that.
that. Yeah, and I hope that we go, oh well, then all right. I guess I might as well just share some
But
things.
I know, but
Yeah.
we thought that would have been
Weird.
enough to make him, want to participate,
Right.
but no, it didn't.
Right. John Paul, who was the guy that you had trouble with that the Rockies finally helped you out with?
Third baseman. What
Chris
was
Nelson.
No, I can't think of his name right now. He's from Texas. He was close with a couple of the Rockies players. I can't think of his last name right now, but
Early mid-90s.
oh yeah, and he was a pretty decent ball player.
Greg Norton.
Nope. Now I'm embarrassed.
Charlie Hayes.
Nope. After Hayes.
Well, yeah, it was Vinny, so he was kind of more of a part-time player a little bit.
It was after Vinny too.
All right, so Garrett Atkins maybe.
Just
Yeah,
Garrett Atkins.
Yep, Garrett Atkins.
Decent player.
Yeah. And I wonder sometimes if it's the Players Association preaching to them, don't do anything unless you get paid or what have you. So that's just speculation. I'm not trying to say that, but you often wonder,
Atkins showed up at the ballpark. He showed up at the ballpark this year when the Orioles were in town. His kids, I guess, were big Orioles fans, so they were rocking the Jackson Holiday shirts, and so he was hanging around and catching up with Matt a little bit. But that was the first time I'd seen him back at the ballpark since 2018.
Sometimes I think, how did the team and the player part ways? Was there some difficulty and issues between the two, and they don't want anything to be they don't want to have anything to do with fans or the club, what have you? But you can speculate all day long.